I mean, I think if we didn't have this sexual instinct, I don't even think meditation would be even a, a concept. I don't even think people would think about it. I think automatically everybody's mind would be quiet. You know? Imagine. You're not obsessed or thinking about girls. You're not thinking about looking at stuff on the internet. You're not thinking about touching yourself and not edging. No fantasies. You're not getting off on looking at erotic literature, nude or not nude, doesn't matter. You're not affected by the female on any level. I remember, what's that movie? Species. I think Species. And that's when the aliens were, they'd impersonate like the human form. And then the researchers were there trying to get rid of them. But it's like hard to know, like who's an alien. And this girl was smart. She like unbuttoned kind of her shirt a little bit. And then when she was talking to this guy, she was trying to size up if he's the alien. And then she kind of bent over. And he didn't even notice. So then later she was telling her co-workers, she's like, he's alien. They're like, how? He seemed very reasonable, act just like a human. And she told him what happened. And then he turned out to be an alien. So this is how strong the sexual instinct is. If we didn't have that, oh man, the mind, it's just like automatic. It's just automatic. But we do have it. This is the point. We have the sexual instinct. So we have to, this is what the channel's for. This is the title on the banner, isn't it? Transcending the sexual instinct. That doesn't mean you become like the alien. I accidentally saw some days ago somebody, and they took one of my videos and he was doing a commentary on it. He was an alpha male guy, calling me a beta male. I'm like, bro, okay, all right. So, and then he, I don't know where it is or what it is. Like I just accidentally saw it and I didn't even care enough to save. I'm just felt bad for him, honestly. Not just for him, but it shows me the mentality out there. They can't assimilate. Most people cannot assimilate anything that's being said from anybody that's speaking on any higher frequency. They can't do it. They'll step it down. Here's what they do. Jesus or Buddha could be here. I was going to make a video on my spiritual channel. Or maybe I already did. I don't know. If Jesus was here, you wouldn't recognize him. Nobody, you know, they wouldn't recognize him because, like, if he was wearing a different face, you wouldn't, and you wouldn't recognize the frequency of that level of consciousness that they're imparting. Well, this is happening. 90% of the population's mainstream. So those of you who make videos or just try to disseminate truth to people, don't get frustrated if they don't understand you. Worse than that, and this is my point, not only do they not understand you, they misinterpret you. They step what you're sharing, your vibration, into their little tiny CPU, and then their little CPU spits out a very misconstrued version of what you're saying. You're like, I'm not even saying that. But they think you're saying that because they don't know what you're saying. So their mind's gonna tell them what it thinks you're saying. I've had people before, I could already tell they couldn't assimilate what I'm saying. And they basically just wanted to debate. So they would ask a question. I'm like, man, you can't really assimilate anything that I share anyway. I can tell by your response that you can't hear what I'm saying. So why would I even want to continue to waste time and energy? I say it's easier, just believe what you want to believe, man. That's easier. But see, the ego wants to fight. So anyway, back to the guy that was doing some kind of thing with my video. He said, I was talking about transcending sexual instinct. And he's like, his basic thing was like, well, then what? What am I going to do then? Like, that don't make any sense. Transcend the sexual instinct? Like, okay, then what? Just kept saying that. And I realized, I'm like, oh yeah, People do not even know what it's like to exist without being a slave to their senses or without being a dopamine addict. They have no idea. They don't even think it's possible. So for them, if you take away their dopamine drug, yeah, that's the response. Like, they're like, well, what am I going to do? It's like taking away their food. It's like if you just tell them, stop eating, be a breatharian. They're like, they think it's the same thing. They get all their life force and juice from dopamine. And you can do that for a while when you're young. When you hit 50, 60, I mean, even earlier now, because the genetics in people have gotten so bad that because their generations, their family's been unhealthy, so the kid inherits their genes, and so then the kid will get sick earlier before their parents did, and it's just a big mess. So you can only live off this dopamine so long, and then you're going to crash. Your body's going to get weak, your immune system's going to get weak, and you know. So back to quiet mind, though. Might have digressed a little, but not really. We're talking about this is why I have a channel on semen retention. I'm focused mostly now on this channel and my spiritual channel because I just it's about energy management. You know, like I can't do 4 channels, but I wanted to put that other channel, Transcending Shadows, because it lists more practical tools, diet, and I touch on trauma and nervous system disorders. You know, it's like a reference tool I send people to. But the reason I didn't make like more channels, plant medicine channel and this channel, that channel, trauma channel, because it's like I don't feel like I want to get down to the quintessential core points of what can really transform you. And for me, that is raising the consciousness, which is why I have a spiritual channel, and semen retention, because that's a prerequisite for allowing your consciousness to elevate. You need energy for transformation. You can't, if we're wasting our most precious energy, there's not going to be any transformation. So that's why I kept the semen retention channel, and why I continue to keep it. So you'll find, now here's the thing though. Obviously, I'm assuming at least 90% who watch this know if you're doing PMO, if you're a slave to the sexual instinct, then you're not going to have a very quiet mind. And just to answer the question of the one that kept saying, okay, you transcend that, now what? Now what? Okay, now what is you can enjoy the quality of female energy without being a slave to it. That's now what. You don't become a monk. But the mind can't understand, like, how can I enjoy it without being attached to it? Or it just goes into denial and says, no, I'm not attached to it. I just enjoy being a man. So we have to have a certain level of self-honesty and introspection before we can even start to, value what's being shared here. So PMO, being lustful, edging, makes your mind busy, not quiet. Now here's the other thing. When you stop and quit, you might have a honeymoon period, a grace period where you feel really good about yourself because you're doing something good. It's like God's baiting you. It's like, okay, keep going, keep going. But then you're going to find usually the restlessness can return because now you're going through detox, you're going through withdrawal. So it's not that you just stop and, now I'm like Buddha. No. You stop, then you bear the withdrawal process, and then you notice, oh, whoa, I have a more quiet mind. How long does that take? I don't know. It depends on the individual, how long you've been doing it, how sensitive your nervous system is, many factors. But I can say this, what other option is there? You got to be willing to do this forever and allow the real benefits to take forever to come. This is the best attitude. That means you're not giving up no matter what. That means something in you knows that this is the right thing to do, and you trust the process. Doesn't matter how messy it looks. Those people make it. You'll make it. How can you not make it if you never give up? You're going to have to make it. So have that attitude. All right, I'll see you.